Welcome to Sparking Equity, a podcast highlighting strategies to ensure all students succeed. I'm Pedro Noguera, Dean of the Rossier School of Education.
And I'm Louis Freedberg, Interim CEO of EdSource and Executive Producer of this podcast.
In this episode, we'll take a first-hand look at the remarkable work in Compton Unified. This is a district just southeast of Los Angeles, better known for hip-hop than for STEM education. But in Compton, they're getting students excited about science, technology, engineering, and math. Across the nation, Black and Latino students are underrepresented in STEM fields. But in Compton, they're starting students young, as early as preschool, to get them interested in STEM.
Yes, Pedro, quite remarkable. Latinos now comprise 80% of the nearly 20,000 students in this once majority Black district. Today, just under 20% of students are Black, with very small representation of students from other racial and ethnic groups. And nearly all of its students come from low-income backgrounds.
But despite the changing demographics, over the last 10 years, the proportion of Compton graduates choosing STEM careers has increased from 24% to 51%.
I should mention also that educators at Compton and in many other places have added the arts to STEM. They put in an A there, and they now refer to it as STEAM. That reflects a push in recent years to combine creativity with the analytical skills required in STEM fields.
That's true, Louis. And last spring, you went to Compton and spent some time there with students and visited classrooms. Why don't you tell us what you saw?
Yes, Pedro, I started my visit at Whaley Middle School, where I was met at the entrance to the school by Principal Ronald Keaton, along with 4 7th graders with ambassadors spelled out in white letters on their black T-shirts. They were to be my guides for my visit. Zayden Birdson is one of the ambassadors, and he proudly accompanied me to a classroom with the sound of drones and where students are sitting at the controls of a flight simulator.
A good landing speed is approximately 65 knots.
Zayden explains to me what is going on in the classroom.
As we see here, students are flying airplanes in a flight simulation class, which I'm thankful for Mr. A, who also helps us fly. And this is a very amazing place because you say when you're a kid, you would always dream to fly high and fly on an airplane. That would be very fun. So students have the opportunity to take a class to learn how to be a pilot.
In another part of the classroom, students are flying drones through various obstacles. It's part of an effort to engage students in an emerging industry at an early age. To plot the routes of the drones, students use geometry, physics, and coding. And to motivate them, the district sponsors an annual drone competition where Whaley Middle School has been a perennial winner. Zayden says it's activities like these that are getting kids excited about school.
This is also a reason when students want to come to school because this is a learning place, and this is a place where you also can make friends and build new friendships.
With drones circling above us, Principal Keaton explains, the drone activity is not just a fun activity, but is closely linked to the instructional goals of the district.
They're learning about collaborating because it's about teamwork. They're competing as teamwork, so they have to learn about collaboration. They have to communicate with each other. They have to have critical thinking to decide how they're going to accomplish the task. And they have to focus on creativity. So all these are skills that they're definitely going to need, not just in drone, but in life itself and in the real world, competing globally, getting a job in the workforce.
Down the hall is the Verizon's Innovation Learning Lab, one of several in the district, and it's a product of one of the multiple partnerships that have been forged between the district and a range of companies and nonprofit organizations under the leadership of Superintendent Darren Brawley. Teacher Matthew Reeves points to what students are doing.
My kids are in leadership class, and they come in here twice a week. They work on their technology stations, such as this one right here is the 3D printing. And so these students right here are working on their STEAM project for the STEAM Fest coming up this year, and they're working on making a pair of glasses right now in the 3D printer.
One of the driving forces in the district bringing innovations like these into the classroom is Michelle Dawson, Director of Instructional Tech and Innovation.
We believe in Compton that we are providing our students with a world-class education. Every student has the opportunity to participate in coding, robotics, esports, and now our brand new drone program.
It's all part of a strategy, Dawson says,
to encourage student achievement, to encourage student engagement, and also to prepare them for the world that they will be exposed to post-secondary.
Technology, Dawson explains, is integrated into the culture of the district from early grades all the way through graduation.
We start with our competitions in first grade with our first Lego League robotics. So every student is being exposed to robotics from kinder on, and they start competing in robotics starting in first grade. So that goes from first to our first league that goes through 8th grade, and then our FTC league that goes through 12th grade.
In fact, technology is integrated into all aspects of the school curriculum, such as in Robert Reyes' statistics class. On the day I visited, students were working on projects using a popular coding program called Scratch.
Give me a thumbs up if you got it. Give me a thumbs up if you got it. Excellent. That's awesome. You guys did really good. I had you guys calculate the mean, create a Scratch program that calculates the mean. I'm going to share some of them before you leave. So at this time, please close your Chromebooks. Make sure you save everything.
7th grader Elena Hooper points to paper planes hanging from the ceiling.
If you look up there on the wall, you can see those are paper airplanes. Making the paper airplanes, we use different math equations, and everybody has to make their own. And the ones you hanging up are the ones that worked and the ones that went farthest. Mr. Reyes is actually a really good teacher, and he finds different ways to incorporate fun lessons into math lessons.
When I leave Whaley Middle School, I head over to the Compton Early College High School. That's known as CEC by staff and students. It's called Early College because this is a dual enrollment school. That means students here take classes at nearby Compton Community College. Either the classes are offered by college instructors who come to the school, or students go to the college to take classes there. I take an Uber for the 15-minute ride to the school. By coincidence, the Uber driver is Fernando Ramos. He is a Compton parent who lives just a few blocks from the school. He says that stereotypes about Compton are completely misplaced.
I've been living here for 16 years, never had issues with neighbors or someone else. It's just about the reputation Compton had back in the 90s.
As for the schools here, he has 2 daughters in Compton Public Schools, and he is enthusiastic about the education they have received. In fact, Ramos says his daughter will enroll in Compton Early College this fall. Other family members are already there. His daughters, he explains, don't want to be anywhere but Compton.
It's a great school. I have a niece that is in 10th grade already. She's very smart. She's really happy here. They love Compton. I tried to move a couple of years ago to Arizona. They don't like it. So we're very happy here in Compton.
Inside, the school has a welcoming feel. The corridors are lined with bright murals with slogans like, "We rise for the future," and "We rise for equality." Our first stop is another Verizon's innovative learning lab. In one corner, senior Desi Humphreys is testing out his 2-foot-high robot for an upcoming robotics competition. The metal robot has to pick up different colored discs and then put them on a board to get points, which determines the winner. This fall, he's planning to go to a California public university to study computer science. He wants to be a software developer, he tells me. He says the opportunities he has gotten in Compton has helped him crystallize his career plans.
I really got to learn what is out there, whether it's field trips to certain companies through the school or it's clubs like this, like robotics or coding clubs. They really helped me learn what there is in this field and become a lot more excited to go and do it.
Another student in the robotics lab was Luis Perez. He spoke exuberantly about the education he has received at Compton.
I lived here my whole life. I've gone to Compton school like my whole life, and I think I got a pretty good education here. I have learned a lot, and I fostered a lot of my interests while still being here, which might come to a surprise to most, but I think it really has been a good experience.
This fall, Perez is attending Cal State Long Beach and majoring in aerospace engineering, another example of students embarking on a STEM career as a result of their exposure at Compton. Principal Pamela Maddox explains that the school is trying to tailor the curriculum to what each student says he or she is interested in.
We ask them early on, what are their goals? What are their aspirations? And so we try to remember what that is and to allow them to explore some of their aspirations early on. We have summer enrichment programs as well. So we're mindful that our world is changing and changing rapidly. And so we want to make sure that we're exposing our students to the environment and so that they can be the best that they can be. And we're here to supply them with the tools to do that.
Students must apply to be admitted to the school, but Maddox says admission is based not on test scores, but on the strength of their desire to be there.
We do set the bar high. We are expecting that the students are exceptional students. Our practice is of excellence. Average, mediocre, and run-of-the-mill, that's not why we're here. We are here to grow and for the students to be the best they can be, and we're here to supply them with the tools to do that.
Students seem motivated to take tough math courses. Trayvon Williams has gone through the math sequence of courses here. He's planning to enroll in the Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia this fall, where he will major in game design. He has no doubt about how the instruction he has received at Compton will be essential to achieving his career goals.
In game design, especially like in computer science, it requires a lot of math. So just like, for example, when I'm making things or modeling, I need to like know positioning, which is X and Y. So I really need my math for that. Or anything like kind of like measuring things, because let's say like printing anything out, like 3D printing, I would be able to know those measurements and how exactly big something needs to be. So math will always be important to me in my career.
A lot of students do not like math. To what extent were you encouraged to take math?
Well, for me, math has always been like really pushed onto me. It wasn't always my favorite subject, but as I've gone on, I've really come to love it, especially with Ms. Garcia, with how she teaches it. She makes it very interactive and exciting to be there because she takes it very slow. But when things speed up, she speeds it up. But she always makes sure to build like strong building blocks for us.
Classmate Isis Cadena Nunez is planning to go to UC Santa Cruz this fall as a double major in marine biology and environmental science. She says her interest in STEM was sparked early on by her grandfather, who was a food chemist in Mexico, and that a series of Compton teachers has been instrumental in helping her define her interests.
My science teacher in middle school, Ms. Rossier, I loved her so much because she was really smart and I admired her a lot. And she was one of the people that really wanted to push me and would always tell me that I can do it. And so I aspire because of her and a lot of other people as well.
Maria Marcus, the district's chief academic officer, says that many of the innovations would not have been possible without the relationships the district has with companies like Verizon and Apple and nonprofits like Heart of America, which helped create innovative classroom spaces.
That is something we could have never accomplished just using our general funds. We knew we needed to reach out to those partnerships and to deliver at the same time. We have 12 Verizon innovative, learning innovative schools as well in our district. With that comes countless hours of professional development, the curriculum and whatnot. It's a true exemplary model of what can happen when K-12, public education and higher education and then the private sector come together and they're truly determined to changing a community. So it's not just technology. The goal is to transform the community inside out.
My final stop in the district was a classroom where it looks like students are playing video games in front of giant screens. But, in fact, they're participating in esports, which consists of playing competitive games against other teams. It's just another strategy the district is using to get students interested and excited about STEM careers. Compton Superintendent Darren Brawley explains.
Initially, we started with high school, and we saw that the excitement around esports was so huge, nothing that you would have ever anticipated. And so now you have students that don't typically participate in sports in other areas, like baseball, basketball, track, football, that are participating in esports, and other students that are their friends are coming out to support them. Auditoriums were completely filled with people, whether they were students, their friends, people from the community, parents, coming to cheer and root for the students in esports. So esports has become a huge thing in Compton. Once again, started at high school, and then we moved it down to middle school, and now it's in place at all of our schools, even our K-8 schools and elementary schools.
Brawley says getting students interested in math, science, engineering, and technology careers has been a core value of his during his dozen years in the district.
It's been a matter of making sure that we provide our students in Compton with every opportunity that exists to prepare them for participation in a global economy.
It's all about achieving equity, Brawley says, without any of the conflicts and controversies that have plagued some other districts.
We see our role as one to make sure that students of color coming out of Compton have every single ability to participate in that global economy. So for us, it's something that we take very seriously, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we are exposing them at a very early age, beginning with coding in preschool, continuing coding all along their journey throughout our elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, exposing them to robotics, exposing them to esports, drone competitions, app challenges, engineering, you name it.
Pedro, as I left Compton, I was deeply moved by the extent to which the district is showing that students who traditionally have been excluded from STEM careers can have the same opportunities as those from more affluent backgrounds attending much better endowed schools. You just have to think, if it can be done in Compton, it should be possible to do anywhere. Most of all, I was excited to see young people who are themselves excited about learning.
Thanks for that report, Louis. It just shows how a school district can move beyond widely held stereotypes about the community and reframe the concept of equity by introducing creative strategies to ensure that all students succeed.
Before we wrap up, I wanted just to get your thoughts. To what extent do you think what Compton is doing is unusual? To what extent is this replicated in other places around the country?
Louis, I think it's important to keep in mind that Compton went through some very, very hard times during the 1990s. And Compton went through a period where there was a lot of gang violence and violence related to drug trafficking. And that was a challenging time for the city. So to see it also having been under state control for 7 years during that period and now become a leader in so many areas, demonstrating real progress for students, particularly in STEM fields, I think makes this all the more remarkable. And an example for other urban districts, I'm thinking about Oakland, where I taught for many years, but also Richmond, California, districts that have been struggling for a long time. They could learn from the example of Compton.
But I did want to ask you, one of the things that stands out about Compton is that they've really formed these collaborations with these tech companies and other corporations. I mean, Verizon, Apple, various other companies. Now, some people are wary about getting corporations involved in the schools. I think there's been people are often suspicious. Are they trying to engage these students as customers at an early age? But what is your take on these partnerships? Because really that has just been essential to Compton actually creating a lot of these innovation labs, as they call them.
I think it's an important strategy, building partnerships with local businesses, with nonprofits, to bring resources and opportunities to kids, particularly in poor communities, I think is essential. I think the real question is who drives these partnerships? Is it industry or is it the education sector? And when educators are driving it, I think good things can happen for kids, internships that lead to jobs and college scholarships. And those are things that are critically needed.
One of the other things, as we just reported, that stands out about Compton is really starting the kids at a really extremely early age. As Superintendent Brawley and others say, you can't start too early. You want to shift those mindsets and get students on that trajectory at a very early age. But I'm wondering, are there other strategies that you think school districts should embrace to get students into STEM careers?
I think the real issue here, and this is why the industry partners are important, is kids need to see how what they're learning in school can be applied in the real world, in a job setting, in industry. Kids want to know that what they're learning has relevance and has application. And that's what they're doing in Compton. I think it's really critical. So many kids at a very early age develop a fear of math. And then that identity that I can't do math sticks in and then limits options for too many people. By starting early and then by showing kids in Compton how to apply what they're learning, they break that obstacle. And I think it's really important for expanding opportunity.
One of the things I noticed at Compton, which kind of really took me aback when I was interviewing some of these students in these innovation labs, as they call them, I said, oh, what class is this part of? And they said, oh, no, this is not a class. It's just like an extra thing we're doing. I don't think they were even getting credit for it. And that kind of blew me away. The kids were coming there, super excited, doing these projects, but it wasn't like part of a formal class.
I think that's really special because it really shows when you make learning fun for kids, then you don't have to force them. You don't have to coerce them. They'll embrace it. And it's really encouraging that they've got the recipe on how to make that happen for kids.
Well, I have to say something quite moving about Compton, which was for so long viewed as a model for how not to do things. Now, at least in this regard, is a model for how many school districts should be undertaking this really hard. I mean, not easy to get any kid into a STEM career because it requires, you've got to do the math, you've got to do the chemistry, you've got to do the biology, etc.
It requires a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment and dedication. And I want to also credit the teachers who have been the guides and the mentors and who've really opened the doors for many of these students.
That's a good note on which to wrap up this week's podcast. And segueing from what you just said, I do want to thank the staff and students at Whaley Middle School and Compton Early College High School for being such gracious hosts.
Well, thanks to our producer, Kobe McDonald. We also appreciate the support from the Hewlett Foundation and School Services of California, sponsors of this week's episode.
Please let us know of other school districts doing a great job in advancing an equity agenda, and hopefully without a lot of the conflict that we are seeing in some school districts.
And be sure to sign up wherever you listen to your podcast for the next episode of Sparking Equity. I'm Pedro Noguera.
And I'm Louis Freedberg. Thanks for listening.